Interviews. To construct an interview, you need 3 people. An observer observes if everything is going according to the interview guide and whether the questions give the answers that were expected or whether the question might need to be revised. An interviewer that asks the questions and comes up with follow-up questions where necessary. His job is to make sure that he gets all the answers he needed in order to have a clear understanding of the interviewee and his or her opinions or feelings surrounding the research question. The interviewee needs to answer questions and try to be as clear as possible. The interview guide is the plan that gets made before the interview, within it how you are going to start the interview, which and in what order the questions will be asked, and how you are going to end the interview. By writing this down, you get a better picture surrounding the interviews and can filter out some initial mistakes that you spotted. Questions. While making questions, you have to keep in mind that the interviewee should not be pushing into a direction, thereby compromising the integrity of your interview. In order to do this, there are a few basic rules that need to be followed. The rules that should be followed are the questions need to be open-ended, thereby giving the interviewee the possibility to answer whether they like and do not restrict them to a certain set of answers. Another benchmark that needs to be met is that the questions need to be non-dichotomous, meaning that they can't be a yes or a no or a true or a false question. The question needs to be specific, meaning that there is one question per question. This makes it clear for the interviewee what questions need to be answered. And the question needs to be clear so that the answer of the question leads to a clear understanding of the interviewee's opinion or feeling about the subject. Coding. Open codes. The main aim of coding is to break down, understand the text and develop categories to be put in order. Open coding aims at developing substantial codes, describing, naming, or classifying the phenomenon under consideration. Open coding is achieved by segmenting the data into conceptual units and labeling them in single words or in multiple words. These codes can be linked in a line, a sentence, a paragraph, or a whole text. These codes can be in vivo codes, researcher-denoted codes, or theoretical codes. Inductive coding is concerned with the generation of new theory emerging from the data. We will mainly focus our research on inductive coding. Deductive coding is concerned with testing theory, and the emphasis is mainly on causality. Deductive coding is concerned with testing theory, and the emphasis is mainly on causality. Axial codes. Axial coding is a way to construct linkages between the collected data. Through axial coding, you try to understand the phenomenon in a study and construct linkages between it and the conditions that are related to that phenomenon, but also the actions directed at handling the phenomenon and the consequences of the actions related to the phenomenon. The constructed linkages should then be shown in a coding paradigm. The coding paradigm allows the researcher to quickly see the linkages between the collected data. Selective coding. Selective coding is a process of choosing a core category in the data and relating all other topics to that category. Our questions. We chose a semi-structured interview method, which means that we have a few set questions and we'll be able to ask non-prepared follow-up questions in between in order to get all the information needed. A few things to keep in mind when asking non-prepared questions are questions should not still push the interviewee in a certain direction. It is important to ask specific questions, since specific questions lead to specific answers, thus making sure that the interviewee stays on topic. We started our coding program by open coding. We labeled every factor that influenced motivation, whether it was positive or negative. The open codes that we used are most of the time literally what the interviewee responded at our questions. After labeling all the open codes that are important for our research question, we started the axial coding. For the axial coding, we looked at the general themes that occurred in the open codes. By doing this, we could categorize all our specific codes by more general themes. To give some examples of how we came to the axial codings. We selected the open codes, learning from mistakes, getting better at your job, and pushing the limits of your skills. These 3 open codes are the same category or theme. The name of this axial code is personal improvement. After categorizing all the open codes to axial codes, we did the last step of the coding program. Therefore, we used 4 selective codes: leadership, culture, money, and enjoyment. These were the broadest themes in the answers that they were given, and thereby a summary of the answers to our research question. Research proposal. How do our questions reflect our research question? Which is, what factors increase or improve intrinsic motivation in startup companies? Different ways of measuring intrinsic motivation. Since intrinsic motivation differs from person to person, and since it is subjective, the only way to measure intrinsic motivation is through interviews. Asking the interviewee for improvements of intrinsic motivation. By asking these types of questions, we hear what factors the employees think would help increase or improve the intrinsic motivation in startup companies. Improvement for our next two interviews. More follow-up questions. By asking more follow-up questions, we make sure that we completely understand what the interviewee means with his or her answer. Furthermore, the follow-up questions allow us to connect the answers.